So through 2020, I was rethinking, deliberating, deciding how I was going to do it. But I didn't launch because they were graduating. They were saying, here's your certificate, but nobody was graduating. There were no ceremonies or anything because people couldn't get together. So I never launched it. In 2020, there was no graduate mastery program. And I was sort of up in the air about it. And I was like, no, I really want to bring this back. I love doing this. I love working with people who are lacking confidence, who want the support, who need to bounce ideas off other people, who want to talk about their clients, who might not have clients, but want to hear about other people's clients, who want to know more about pediatrics and women's health, and they want to meet really interesting speakers. So I thought, no, I want to relaunch it. But like all of us, I had that worry, that fear that no one was going to buy, that no one was going to turn up on the day, that no one wanted what I was offering because I'd had a year off. Hello and welcome. Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists, and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to your needs, the needs of the practicing natural therapist. With interviews, herbal discussions, something business and something clinical each week, you'll get the variety you need and enjoy to stay motivated in practice. Hello and welcome to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast. I'm so pleased you've had a chance to join me today. So what am I going to talk about? Well, over the summer, I did a course. So I create courses all the time. I'm sure you've done some of my courses. And if you haven't, please go over to geraldineheadley.com because you'll find a number of free things there. Free webinars, downloads, workbooks, all sorts of things. So I've been creating for a long time and I've been delivering and launching for a long time as well. So 2017, I think it was when I started delivering the Graduate Mastery Program. And of course, to deliver anything, you have to launch it. So it was a bit haphazard how I started out and how I launched. I read a couple of books on it, as one does. And I've got a number of books actually in my Kindle about how to launch your product. And I followed that advice. And it's worked really well for me. Then in 2020, none of us knew what was happening, did we? And the Graduate Mastery Program is for new graduates, people with very small numbers of clients, those people coming back into work who are naturopaths, nutritionists, and herbalists. And because there's a training side, as well as a side where I help people individually. Okay, so the Graduate Mastery Program had been a year long, and it was only education, and it was only a group. And on the last one, so I always ask for feedback. I always ask for feedback. I'm always asking for feedback. So I asked for feedback on the last one, and it's been said all the way through, just a little bit, but it was, I actually want more time with you one-on-one so I can talk specifically about my business because I can't always be there on the lives to ask the questions. So I thought, okay, I need to take that on board. How would I fit that in? How would that work? And then something I noticed was that towards the end of the year, there'd only be 3 or 4 people who were turning up, who were doing the work, who when I went, because you can see when you're delivering a course in the background if somebody's done the work or not. So you can see who's there, you can see who's done the work and who's just dropped off. And I thought, well, a year-long course, maybe it's just too long. Maybe that's not what they want. And so I've created the membership for those people that want that longer interaction with me. Whereas the Graduate Mastery Program, I thought, let's cram more of it into a shorter period of time and let's put in those one-on-one appointments. So through 2020, I was rethinking, deliberating, deciding how I was going to do it. But I didn't launch because they were graduating. They were saying, here's your certificate, but nobody was graduating. There were no ceremonies or anything because people couldn't get together. So I never launched it. In 2020, there was no Graduate Mastery Program. And I was sort of up in the air about it. And I was like, no, I really want to bring this back. I love doing this. I love working with people who are lacking confidence, who want the support, who need to bounce ideas off other people, who want to talk about their clients, who might not have clients, but want to hear about other people's clients, who want to know more about pediatrics and women's health, and they want to meet really interesting speakers. So I thought, no, I want to relaunch it. But like all of us, I had that worry, that fear that no one was going to buy, that no one was going to turn up on the day, that no one wanted what I was offering because I'd had a year off. Although in 2020, I hadn't actually had a year off. You may well have done my Working Online course or my Programs to Practice course or any number of the other courses that I launched and delivered, but not my flagship graduate mastery program. So I had all the worry of 2020, and I listened to a podcast by Steph Taylor, and it's the Socialette podcast. And they're short. They're really short podcasts. They're literally 5 minutes. So here's me calling mine bite-sized, but hers are definitely only nibbles. And that's great because, of course, you can listen to 3 or 4, or you can listen to 1, and it's not like you have to, chisel out lengths of time. Like my bite-sized podcast, chiseling out lengths of time can be really hard for people. So I try to keep them short, sweet, and to the point. And so I listened to her podcast. I listened to Teresa Heath Waring's podcast. I listened to quite a few. I can't remember them all off the top of my head. I listened to a few hypnosis ones. So I was listening to Steph's, and she was saying during it, there's something coming up in November. There's something coming up in November. And I was like, well, get on with it. Just tell me what it is. But she hadn't actually decided herself at that point, as it turns out. And then it got to, towards November, and she said, right, I'm launching a launch course. And I thought, that's what I need. I need accountability. I need someone. I've done this before. I have totally launched before, and I've been launching all the way through, but I totally need the accountability and somebody else's structure. The way somebody else does something, I find motivating. And something I find really motivating are young Australian women. So not really young. My teenage daughter's driving me nuts. But But then again, even saying that, she's totally motivating. She has ideas, and, these young women have got so much going for them, and the way they teach, the way they motivate, the way they educate is just so nice. So I thought, I'm going to do your launch course. And so over the summer, I did her launch course. So we had a break around Christmas, New Year, but the rest of it, she was there twice a week in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. I think the next round 7:30 in the morning, or 8 or something. It's earlier anyway. But for me, it was 8:30. So it might have been 9 for her. And so for me, it was 8:30. So I think the next one's 8 for her, 7:30 for me. It opens in May. But it was so good twice a week having that accountability. So I do Pilates on a Tuesday at 8:30 online. So I was doing my online Pilates in the hallway, and I had her turned up in my office. So I was exercising and listening. So then I'd go back and rewatch. But it meant that I had that accountability that, right, Steph's said we're doing this today. And she delivered it with spreadsheets. Turns out that she was going to use workbooks, but she ran out of time. So she turned them all into spreadsheets, and she's interviewed me for her podcast. I don't know when that's coming out. But I said on that, the spreadsheets are amazing. And now I'm delivering some of my work in spreadsheets as well, because it means it's dynamic. So there are countless times I have written out my avatar, who my avatar is, and I've written them all out on worksheets, worksheet after worksheet after worksheet. And there she had it in a spreadsheet, which means it's dynamic. It means you can change it. It means that it's there for you when you want to go back to it and add or change. So I've started using spreadsheets. I've had to actually, copying is the greatest form of flattery. However, I haven't truly copied because I haven't copied all the words, but I've actually copied the format of she had like an equation in there. So it said, from now on, the person that you're talking about is this person, and the name would come up, and I couldn't get the equation to work. So I actually had to copy that spreadsheet, because even though I tried to copy the equation, it wouldn't work. So I actually had to copy that spreadsheet and then change put my words on it, but to keep the equation. So that's, I will admit there that I had to copy that equation. But back on track. The course itself was because of the accountability was amazing. So there were people on there who had no list, they had no course, they had a vague idea of what they wanted to do. And there were people like me on there who've launched a lot before, and there were people on there who are touting their $1 million businesses online. So it was a massive eclectic mix of people. There was another naturopath, there were people in all areas and all walks, there were other natural therapists, there was no one doing what I do. So that was cool too. But it meant that because there were so many different people, you had so many insights into what you were doing and so much support with what you were doing. And Steph is launching her launch course again, and so I'm an affiliate. So obviously you can just go to stephtaylor.com and join up from there, but I have in my show notes the affiliate link. So if you felt like it, then I will earn some money from that, which would be very nice. Thank you very much. But it's really good. If you're launching something, I highly recommend it. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. So it's a system because of the way it is and the way it's set out and the systems that are involved in it. It's really easy to follow, really easy to use, really, really good. Really enjoyed it. So check it out and check out the links in the bio and see if it's something that you need to do if you're launching. So we do a lot of launch stuff in the academy, but not in the same way, obviously, as a launch strategist does it. But because ours is all about being in the consult with the client. So that's the academy. It's in the consult with the client. What are we doing with that client? How do we get them to come back? How do we get them to stay? How do we increase our earnings in clinic with our clients, with our people that are there? Because obviously lots of launching is going live, is being out there all the time, and that isn't right for some people. That isn't the way you want to be. And you guys know your stuff. You know, you've got your qualifications, you know what you're doing, you know what you're offering, and or you know what you want to offer, but you don't know how to offer it. And so launching is a really important part of what we do. So that was today's, to tell you about what I did over the summer. Some of you went to the beach. I stayed at home, but it was the perfect summer to do it, because in Adelaide, I could go out and about, but the borders were still closed, so I couldn't go anywhere else. But it was great having that accountability to do it. And that's what I love about my academy and the offerings that I deliver, is the accountability. It's up to you to follow through. And if you say, oh, I can't keep up at the moment, that's okay too, because you're openly saying, I can't do this right now. I don't have the headspace, the physical space, the whatever space for this right now, but I can come back to it. You know, in the academy, everything's all in separate parts, and so you can dip in and dip out. But it was an amazing summer, because I did Steph Taylor's launch course. So if you're interested, check it out and check out the links there in the bio. So thank you very much for joining me. And if you do feel inspired because you've made it all the way to the end, please go and give me a 5-star review. Obviously a 5-star, who would want anything less? And say how much I'm supporting you and how helpful this is for you in your practice. So it was lovely chatting. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and you have a really brilliant rest of time until we speak again. See ya. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. If you'd like even more support and learning, then the Academy is for you. Here you'll find part 2 of the herbal discussions, more clinical learning, and case studies to support your clients in practice. Bye for now.